A COVID question. Is there an end in sight? I mean, what is the metric that would be used for maybe getting rid of the masks?
If we continue to make the progress on vaccinations, yes, there's an end in sight, because I think it will put a lid on a winter surge. That said, that winter surge last year, particularly here in Southern California, was profound and pronounced.
This week, Governor Newsom announced that California kids will all be required to be vaccinated once it gets FDA approval. Let's talk about that and more with Gloria Allred on the left and Dave Rubin on the right, debating each other for the first time. All right, Dave, let's start with you. I know this is an issue you're especially passionate about. What do you make of California's vaccine mandates?
Oh, it's completely ridiculous, like the federal vaccine mandates are. To be very clear, I think that if anyone wants to get the vaccine and they want to wear a mask and they want to stay at home or whatever it is that they want to do, you absolutely have that right, and you should consult with your doctor, and you should take into account your age and your health and medical history, all of those things. The idea that a year and a half after 2 weeks to flatten the curve, a phrase that we don't talk about anymore. Did we ever flatten the curve? Why don't we talk about that curve anymore? The idea that now it's about some sort of magical, as Joe Biden said, which is what Gavin Newsom's alluding to, it's about some sort of 97 or 98% government mandated vaccine. And then for kids, kids have a 0.002% chance of dying from COVID. That is CDC numbers as of March. Everyone else is getting vaccinated, in essence. So the teachers are vaccinated, the administrators are vaccinated. We know kids aren't sharing it with each other. This is just constant government overreach. And where are the good liberals? You know, California is supposed to be a liberal state. Liberals used to fight for individual rights and civil liberties, but they've just folded in the name of progressive authoritarianism.
Gloria, are you a good liberal?
You know, I'm a progressive, proud progressive, I might add, but I also believe in science. And this is really not about rights, it's about life and death. And of course, kids can also be carriers of COVID. And in addition to that, I think it's really important to understand this is not a political issue. It shouldn't be. It should be a scientific and a health issue. And I ask you, Dave, do you think there should not be a mandate for kids in schools to have to get vaccine for chickenpox, for mumps, for polio, for so many other vaccines that they are required to have in order
Gloria,
to go to school?
All of those things were tested for years. As we know, we rushed out this vaccination. But this is not, I'm not saying people should not get vaccinated. I'm saying it should be left up to choice. But you just said something very, very dangerous right there for a lawyer. This is not about rights. Since when is it not about rights? In the United States, we have God-given rights that are protected under the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And if we're suddenly saying, oh, this isn't about rights, because there is some virus out there with basically a 99% recovery rate, and I just gave you the CDC numbers for children. Yes, children could transmit the disease, although they rarely do, but the parents are all vaccinated if they're good, decent citizens. So I don't really understand the connection, actually.
Are you a good, decent citizen? Are you vaccinated?
It's nobody's business whether I'm vaccinated. That's like me asking you the last time you got laid. I mean, it's just irrelevant.
All right, so you know what's really relevant is that it's one thing if you have the right to choose for your
medical history is not your business, nor yours is mine.
Let Gloria finish.
If you have the right to choose what you should do with your own body, I respect that. But when what you choose to do can be dangerous to others, then we're in a whole different area. And so, for example, Gloria, people are mandated to wear seatbelts when they drive. Why? Because if they get into an accident, it's not only going to be dangerous to them, it's going to be dangerous to others. People can smoke, knowing the danger and the risks of smoking, but they can't just put secondary smoke into somebody else's apartment or home or, smoke, in places where it can be very dangerous to other individuals. That's what this is about. And by the way, even for your own choice, if you exercise your choice not to get a vaccine, you get to do that. But you also have to pay the consequences of that. And the consequences may be that you're not going to be able to have a job anymore. The consequences may be that you're going to end up in the hospital with serious COVID and you may die. And because you're overloading the ICUs in the hospital, people who need care for cancer or heart disease or other illnesses may not be able to get a bed because you were irresponsible in not getting the vaccine.
Gloria, frankly, it's very obvious to me that you're a progressive, because what lies under every progressive is a really sort of hysterical authoritarian.
Well,
Everyone
that's
is
a
allowed to make
sexist
a decision for themselves. Here, we're in Los Angeles right now. I was just over at the studio that I couldn't get into over there. Which hospitals in Los Angeles are overrun right now?
Yeah, look, let me just tell you something. First of all, you made a sexist remark. Calling a woman hysterical is very, very sexist. So I think you should stay on the issues instead of engaging in name calling. Look, we've had surges, we've had ups,
Well, in
we've
essence,
had
you were telling
down
me I was
in
gonna kill people,
California.
but all right.
We don't need to wait for the point at which there is a crisis, as is going on in many, many states where there are no ICU beds available and people have to drive miles and miles to another state to even get an ICU bed. Some people have died before they got there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the researchers for this show can show me the videos of all the overrun hospitals that nobody has seen. There's been no pictures of them and no videos of them. But again, I'm not for people getting sick. I'm for choice. I believe people can make the right medical choices for themselves. I mean, really, if we go down this route, where you have to do things for your health and to make sure that hospitals don't get overrun, there's going to be an awful lot of bad things we're going to have to do to overweight people, because, as you know, being overweight and being diabetic is one of the biggest factors in COVID morbidity.
99% of the people.
Are we suddenly going to say that overweight people should be what? Are we going to force them to diet? Are we going to not give them health insurance?
99% of the people who were in the critical care and the ICU beds are unvaccinated people. That alone should tell you why people need to get vaccinated. And also, children, even if there is a small risk for the younger children right now, they can be carriers and bring it home to their parents and their grandparents and many, many others. We've got to protect ourselves.
Do you believe the vaccine works?
This is a pandemic.
First off, I'd like somebody to fact check the 99% of hospitals are unvaccinated.
Well, go for it.
But Gloria, if you believe the vaccine works, so these kids that I would not force, it's up to the parent to decide, how would they be getting the parent sick if the vaccine works and the parents are vaccinated?
Well, because there is still a risk that they can get COVID. If they're vaccinated, they are less likely to end up in the ICU and die. Most people who are unvaccinated have a much higher risk of ending up in the ICU and dying.
Let me try to put a button on this and start where this conversation started, which was the question that I asked Governor Newsom, which is, how does this end? And what is the benchmark for some of this to stop? Dave, your thought on that?
Yeah, it doesn't end. In a place like California, where we've elected people that really enjoy this power, which is why Gavin Newsom is always smiling as he's telling you about all the lockdowns. And when he was at the school this morning telling you about, mandating vaccines for kids, but not for teachers and not for prison guards, which is what he did yesterday. It doesn't end in a place like this, because this isn't really about a virus. I would say it's about a mind virus related to controlling people, but it probably doesn't end here. 2 weeks to flatten the curve was a year and a half ago. Now it's 98%, and then maybe we'll let you get back to normal. This is human nature. It will always move. Now we're being told kids might spread it to adults who are vaccinated. Do you see how this thing keeps moving?
Dave, all I can tell you is this, that there are many conservative radio talk show hosts, and feel free to fact check that, who were anti-vax and gave the same script lines that you've been giving about, okay, it's your individual choice and all that. And as they were dying in the ICU, they begged for the vaccine. It was too late for them. And they urged everyone, please, get the vaccine, because they admitted they were wrong not to get it.
Again, I never said that I'm anti-vax. Everyone should make whatever choice is right for themselves. But I would say listen to some of the NBA players over the last couple of days who are taking a brave stand by saying, we're young, healthy people. Maybe we've got COVID before and we have natural antibodies. Why aren't we allowed to talk about any of that stuff?
Well,
and instead we have to say,
government.
Government.
About it. That's why you saw them on television and heard them. They are talking about it, but they're not scientists, and good luck to them. That's a very unsafe choice as far as I'm concerned.
All right. I guess we're going to have to leave it there because we're out of time. I guess they're not coming together on this issue, but it is.
But I'd love to
great.
dance with you,
Great.
together with you one day, Dave,
Yeah.
on Alex's show.
I will
Yeah.
gladly dance with you regardless of vaccination status.
Well, no, I won't dance with you if you're unvaccinated. I don't want to be anywhere near you. Thank you very much.
I did not say whether I was or was
Well,
not.
you'll have to show me proof of vax before we dance.
Let's leave it there. I guess that's a sign of where we are as a country right now, but at the end, we can agree on some things as well. Dave, thank you for coming on the show for the very first time. Really enjoyed it.
It was my pleasure.